Quantum manifestation is working for you even if you don't know it yet. Carl Jung once said, "Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate." Quantum manifestation is always at work, even when you don't realize it, because your thoughts, emotions, and hidden beliefs are shaping the reality you step into every day. Imagine what could change if you began to align with this unseen power instead of resisting it. In today's video on spiritual wisdom, we'll explore how manifestation is already working for you and how you can consciously step into it for more joy, growth, and fulfillment. Have you ever noticed moments in your life where things seem to align effortlessly, as if by magic? Share your story in the comments, because your experience might be the very key someone else needs to hear. 1. Desire is a magnetic signal, not evidence of lack. Desire is not a weakness or a flaw, but a magnetic signal calling new possibilities into your life. Carl Jung once said, "Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate." In the same way, when desire rises within you, it is not proof of something missing, but a sign that the unconscious is aligning with the quantum field and showing you what is possible. Your wanting is not a cry of incompleteness, but an invitation from the universe, whispering that a new path is waiting to be revealed through you. Often, people mistake desire for deficiency. When you long for love, you might tell yourself you are incomplete without a partner. When you crave financial freedom, you might think you are broken because you do not yet have it. But true spiritual wisdom reveals that desire itself is intelligence in action. It is the universe expressing itself through your consciousness, nudging you toward growth the way a flower naturally leans toward the sunlight. In this light, your desires are not shadows you chase, but signals of expansion guiding you toward your higher potential. Quantum manifestation operates quietly, often beneath your awareness, yet always powerfully. Even in moments of self-doubt, the signal of your desire moves into the quantum field, sending ripples that align circumstances and attract outcomes. Albert Einstein said, "Imagination is everything. It is the preview of life's coming attractions." That imagination, born from your desire, is not idle fantasy. It is a direct communication from the deeper intelligence of the universe, weaving threads of what is to come into your present awareness. When you learn to honor your desires without labeling them as lack, you step out of resistance and allow manifestation to unfold naturally. Every longing is proof of readiness, not of inadequacy. It shows that a new reality is prepared to be born through you. Desire is the pulse of spiritual awakening, the echo of a greater design that trusts you to carry it forward. What feels like personal wanting is in truth the universe itself expanding through you. By reframing desire as a sacred signal rather than a mark of emptiness, you begin to collaborate with the quantum field instead of pushing against it. The next time you feel a deep yearning, resist the urge to call it weakness. Instead, ask, "What is the universe trying to manifest through me?" When you shift perspective in this way, you step out of scarcity and into co-creation. You no longer see desire as evidence of what you lack, but as confirmation of the infinite possibilities alive within you. The quantum field does not measure your worthiness. It simply responds to the signals you send. And desire, far from being emptiness, is the clearest, most powerful signal of all. Do you see your desires as proof of lack or as the magnetic signals they truly are? Share your perspective in the comments below so we can all learn from each other. And if you're ready to shift into this new way of seeing, comment, "I choose to align," and let the universe respond to you. 2. Manifestation works by resonance, not by force. Manifestation works not by force, but by resonance. Because the universe does not respond to desperate effort or complicated technique, it responds to the vibration you embody. Carl Jung said, "Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate." And this reminds us that the quantum field mirrors the frequency of your deepest beliefs more than the surface of your words. The invisible field of energy around you is listening not to the affirmations you recite in tension, but to the coherence of your thoughts, emotions, and inner state. When you vibrate with peace, gratitude, and clarity, reality aligns to reflect it back. And when you radiate fear, doubt, or lack, even the most carefully crafted rituals only push away what you seek. It is like two musical instruments when one is out of tune. No amount of force makes the sound beautiful, but when both are tuned together, the resonance is effortless and powerful. In the same way, manifestation is not about how hard you try, but about how harmoniously you vibrate. A person who hustles endlessly for success while secretly feeling unworthy will always feel blocked, while someone who cultivates joy, presence, and inner alignment often finds opportunities arriving without struggle. What looks like luck or miracle is simply resonance at work, because the universe reflects what you are, not what you chase. This is the essence of spirituality and spiritual awakening. Not collecting more tools or forcing more control, but awakening to the energy you carry within and how it shapes the world around you. Every anxious thought whispers, "I don't have enough." Every desperate desire declares, "I am incomplete." And the quantum field mirrors that back as delay, resistance, or emptiness. But every moment of gratitude, every act of trust, and every step taken from wholeness radiates a frequency of abundance, and life organizes itself around that vibration. The Bible says, "As a man thinketh in his heart, so is he." And this spiritual wisdom holds true in modern life, where many chase endlessly, yet forget to embody the very state they seek. So the real intelligence of manifestation lies not in doing more, but in becoming more aligned. When you notice yourself forcing, chasing, or grasping, it is a signal to return to coherence. When you surrender into trust, soften into presence, and choose to embody peace and worthiness right now, the field responds because your energy has become magnetic. Jung's insight into synchronicity teaches that the inner and outer worlds are linked. So when the psyche resonates with abundance, the universe arranges circumstances that match. This is why the moment you stop pushing and start resonating, opportunities, love, and prosperity flow naturally, not as accidents, but as reflections of the song your energy is already playing. 3. The nervous system, not thought, is the primary transmitter. The nervous system, not thought alone, is the true transmitter of the energy you send into the universe. And this is why so many people struggle with manifestation, despite filling notebooks with affirmations or spending hours visualizing their dreams. Your emotions and the patterns of safety or insecurity stored in your body are what determine the frequency you radiate. And if those patterns are rooted in fear, doubt, or unhealed wounds, then your signal will be clouded no matter how many times you repeat positive words. Affirmations and visualizations are not meaningless, but they gain their real power only when they are aligned with the state of your body and emotions. Imagine your nervous system as a broadcasting tower. If the tower is unstable and filled with static, the clearest message will still come out distorted. In spirituality and spiritual development, the key is not forcing your mind into constant positivity, but creating coherence between your body, your heart, and your thoughts so that what you project is authentic, whole, and magnetic. You may notice that when your body feels relaxed, safe, and open, life begins to respond with ease. Opportunities arise without force. The right people cross your path, and synchronicities appear as if by design. Yet when you carry tension, stress, and hidden fear, even 1,000 affirmations of abundance will not conceal the signal of lack that your energy is transmitting. Carl Jung once said, "Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate." Those unconscious imprints are often held in the nervous system, shaping the reality you attract without you even knowing it. This is why manifestation is never just a mental exercise. It is a full-body state of being where the nervous system, emotions, and thoughts work together in harmony to send out a vibration that life recognizes and responds to. The practice, then, is to care for and regulate your inner world, rather than trying to control the outer one. When you feel tightness in your chest, shallow breathing, or unease in your body, the solution is not to silence it with forced positivity, but to meet it with awareness, compassion, and calming practices that restore safety within. Breathwork, meditation, grounding exercises, or even gentle stillness can shift your nervous system from fear into trust. Once that foundation is steady, your affirmations and visualizations begin to carry real weight because they are supported by the body's truth rather than contradicted by it. Manifestation is not about perfection, but congruence. And when your emotions, nervous system, and mind align, the signal you emit is clear, consistent, and powerful. Spirituality and spiritual development invite you to live in this integrated state where you are not chasing your desires, but embodying them, not begging the universe to respond, but allowing your frequency to resonate with what you seek. The more you cultivate safety within your body, the more your external life begins to reflect that sense of trust and openness, and the less you find yourself forcing outcomes that never seem to arrive. What you are learning is that the nervous system is the gateway of manifestation, the unseen channel through which your desires flow into reality. When you nurture it, calm it, and bring it into alignment with your highest vision, you discover that quantum manifestation has been working for you all along, quietly shaping your life from within. Comment below. I trust my nervous system to guide me. If you are ready to align with the true flow of abundance. 4. Mixed inner frequencies create interference. When you attempt to call in a new reality while still clinging emotionally to the old one, you create a kind of energetic static, like two radio stations bleeding into each other until the sound becomes distorted. Outwardly, you may be affirming abundance, declaring freedom, or visualizing love, but inwardly, you might still carry fear, doubt, or attachment to what has already passed. These mixed frequencies collide and cancel each other out, preventing manifestation from taking clear form. Carl Jung captured this truth when he said, "Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate." The interference is not outside of you. It is the unresolved vibration within. Every time you speak words of prosperity while secretly feeling lack, or imagine a loving relationship while fearing rejection, you are sending contradictory signals to the universe. Manifestation is not about forcing belief or endlessly repeating affirmations. It is about coherence, the alignment of thought, emotion, and energy. True spiritual wisdom teaches that intelligence lies in harmonizing the conscious and unconscious. Albert Einstein reminded us, everything is energy, and that's all there is to it. Match the frequency of the reality you want, and you cannot help but get that reality. If your declarations and emotions are misaligned, you are tuning to two stations at once, confusing not only yourself, but the very field that reflects your life back to you. This is why the real work of manifestation is not in chasing, but in releasing. You cannot move forward if you are still anchored in old beliefs, old wounds, or old fears. Trying to manifest while holding on to the past is like rowing a boat with the anchor dropped. The harder you row, the more exhausted you become, yet you remain stuck. Transformation begins the moment you surrender what no longer serves you. Letting go is not a weakness. It is the opening of space where new frequencies can enter. Spiritual awakening is not about adding more practices to force change, but about softening into presence and allowing coherence to naturally emerge. Jung's insight into the shadow explains why so many struggle with manifestation. The shadow is the part of you that remains hidden in your unacknowledged fears, guilt, or shame. You may consciously affirm wealth, yet unconsciously carry resentment toward money. You may crave love, yet unconsciously fear intimacy. These buried signals are more powerful than words. They transmit to the quantum field with precision, creating outcomes that mirror your hidden vibration. Spiritual intelligence is learning to integrate these parts, to bring unconscious material into the light, so that your entire being broadcasts a unified message. The universe does not respond to what you say you want. It responds to what you energetically are. When coherence replaces interference, manifestation ceases to be a struggle and becomes a natural unfolding. This is the wisdom echoed in the Tao Te Ching. By letting it go, it all gets done. The world is won by those who let it go. Once you release the grip of the old, once your inner state harmonizes with your outer desire, the static clears and the signal becomes pure. At that moment, you stop fighting with life and instead flow with it, and the reality you once chased begins to find its way to you with ease. 5. Parallel timelines already contain every possible outcome. Parallel timelines already contain every possible outcome. And within this, truth lies the heart of spirituality and spiritual awakening. Carl Jung once said, "Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate," reminding us that what feels like destiny is often the result of hidden forces shaping our choices. Quantum manifestation reveals that multiple versions of you are already living the life you dream of, and manifestation is not about chasing, but about shifting your awareness to resonate with that timeline. just like a radio does not create music, but simply tunes into a station already broadcasting. You do not create from nothing. You align with realities already vibrating in the field of existence. In these parallel possibilities, one version of you is already thriving in abundance. Another is in the relationship you have longed for, and another has stepped into peace and fulfillment. Physics suggests this through the many worlds theory, and spiritual wisdom confirms it by showing that you are not limited to this single path. You are energy, frequency, and consciousness with the power to choose which version of life you inhabit. Manifestation becomes less about rituals or affirmations and more about embodying the vibration of the outcome you want. Because your unconscious beliefs and emotions determine which timeline you walk into. Many people remain stuck, not because their dreams are unreachable, but because their energy is aligned with fear, scarcity, or doubt, which ties them to cycles of struggle. True spiritual awakening comes when you realize that by changing your inner state, you automatically shift into higher timelines where abundance and joy already exist. The intelligence within you does not respond to effort born of desperation. It responds to alignment, presence, and surrender. Jung's teachings show that when the unconscious becomes conscious, you stop living by default and start living by design, stepping into realities that were always waiting for you. In modern life, this understanding transforms how you view work, love, and daily challenges. Instead of seeing change as something distant or requiring endless effort, you begin to live as though the shift has already taken place. If you desire wealth, embody gratitude now. If you seek love, embody compassion today. Spirituality teaches that emotions are frequencies, and by holding the energy of your desired outcome, you draw yourself into the reality where it is already true. This is why breakthroughs often happen when you release the need to control, when you stop chasing and finally allow yourself to flow. Einstein once said, "Everything is energy, and that's all there is to it." Match the frequency of the reality you want, and you cannot help but get that reality. The wisdom here is timeless. Life is not waiting to be created. It is waiting to be tuned into. Your task is not to force, but to align. Not to doubt, but to trust. Not to wait, but to live as though the door has already opened. In the infinite field of possibilities, the reality you long for already exists. And the moment you awaken to this truth is the moment you begin to live it. Stay connected with our spiritual wisdom community by subscribing to the channel. Here, we explore how parallel timelines already hold every possible outcome, and how your awareness shapes which path unfolds. Remember, you are not limited. You are a powerful creator, already aligned with abundance, love, and possibility. 6. Practice through nervous system training and embodiment. Most people believe manifestation is only about the mind repeating affirmations, visualizing success, or forcing positive thoughts. But true quantum manifestation reaches much deeper, into the body and the nervous system that quietly governs how much we allow ourselves to receive. If your body feels unsafe with abundance, love, or success, it will reject them, no matter how much your mind desires them. This is where awareness protocols and embodiment rehearsal become powerful tools, because they gently retrain your nervous system to recognize receiving as safe, natural, and familiar. Carl Jung captured this truth when he said, Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life, and you will call it fate. The unconscious is not only in the mind, it is also stored in the body, shaping how we react to opportunities and blessings. If deep inside, wealth feels like stress or rejection, or if love feels like betrayal, your nervous system will push them away without your awareness. Through conscious awareness and embodiment practice, you begin teaching your body a new emotional vocabulary of safety, openness, and worthiness. In daily life, this is not abstract theory, but a lived reality. When you are offered a new opportunity, does your body feel expansive with excitement or tight with fear? When affection is given to you, do you relax into it or brace yourself as if something bad will follow? These signals are the hidden language of your nervous system, and until they are addressed, no amount of mental effort can override them. Embodiment rehearsal allows you to practice new responses, replacing fear with comfort and suspicion with ease, until your body learns that abundance and love are not threats, but natural states. Spirituality and spiritual development are lived here, in the small ways your body welcomes or resists life. As you consistently train your nervous system through awareness and rehearsal, the extraordinary becomes ordinary. Success feels normal, and love feels safe. Many people fail at manifestation because they try to bypass the body while forcing the mind. But true alignment happens only when both work together in harmony. The message is clear. The universe cannot give you what your body does not feel prepared to hold. By listening through awareness, integrating through embodiment, and practicing until safety becomes second nature, you unlock the flow of manifestation that feels effortless rather than forced. Do not limit manifestation to thoughts. Allow every cell in your body to participate in the experience of the life you desire. This is the deeper path of spiritual development, where manifestation is not an act of chasing, but a natural expression of being. When you embody this alignment, manifestation begins to work quietly, continuously, and powerfully through you, even when you are not trying, because you have finally become the safe vessel for the very reality you once longed for. 7. Release old stories that create resistance. Release the old stories that have been holding you in resistance, because every time you repeat phrases like, "Good things take time," "You have to suffer to grow," or "Material desire is unspiritual," you are strengthening the invisible program of scarcity that keeps you waiting for blessings that are already available. Carl Jung reminded us, until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life, and you will call it fate. And these inherited beliefs live in your unconscious, quietly dictating how much abundance, joy, and freedom you allow yourself to experience. They sound harmless, even wise, yet they are seeds of delay and denial planted in the garden of your mind. And the harvest will always reflect what you plant. If you believe growth must be painful, life will meet you with pain. If you believe material desires are shameful, life will mirror that shame through lack. But when you choose to release those outdated stories, you open a new space where intelligence and spiritual wisdom guide you instead of fear and scarcity. Quantum manifestation is not about forcing outcomes. It is about aligning with the natural flow of life, a flow that is always moving toward expansion, ease, and synchronicity. Albert Einstein once said, "The intuitive mind is a sacred gift, and the rational mind is a faithful servant," reminding us that when we trust our inner knowing, we discover that synchronicities are not accidents, but confirmations of alignment. Desire itself is not unspiritual. It is the soul's language, a divine signal pointing you toward expansion and fulfillment. When you honor your desires as sacred messengers, opportunities appear faster than logic expects, and the universe rushes to meet you halfway. Jung also warned that what you resist not only persists, but will grow in size. And when you resist abundance by clinging to beliefs of delay and denial, you magnify the very lack you want to escape. Yet the moment you surrender resistance, life begins to rearrange itself in your favor, often in ways that seem miraculous. This is not weakness, but higher intelligence, a choice to stop fighting against the current of life and instead trust it to carry you where you are meant to go. Releasing those limiting beliefs is the same as clearing the debris from a river. The water of abundance flows naturally once the blocks are gone. Declare to yourself now, I am no longer bound by the old story that growth must equal suffering. I am no longer waiting endlessly for someday. I am worthy of abundance, joy, and fulfillment now. The lesson is simple yet powerful. Release resistance and synchronicity accelerates. Dissolve scarcity and abundance flows. Honor your desires and manifestation becomes effortless. This is the wisdom of Jung, the intelligence of spirit, and the truth waiting within you. You are not here to chase manifestation. You are here to allow it. To free yourself from the weight of the past, affirm your release today. Comment below, I let go of old stories, to declare your openness and inspire others to step into their own spiritual awakening. 8. Personal synchronicity is collective healing too. Personal synchronicity is not only a private blessing, but also a collective healing force. Because when you embody love, abundance, and ease, you are not simply shifting your own reality, but also strengthening those same vibrations in the larger field of humanity. Every thought you choose, every feeling you nurture, every action you take in alignment with love becomes a frequency that others can unconsciously draw from. And this is the hidden truth of spirituality and spiritual awakening. Your inner work is never just for you. It is for all of us. Think of the times you have felt a stranger's smile ease your heart, or someone's calm presence steady your nerves. This is evidence that energy is contagious, and your vibration is a silent offering to the collective. When you release fear and step into abundance, you send out a signal that others can rest, trust, and rise as well. Carl Jung reminded us that who looks outside dreams, who looks inside awakes, and in that awakening, you begin to realize that your own receptivity expands what is possible for the entire web of life. Choosing gratitude in place of worry, choosing forgiveness over resentment, choosing peace in the midst of chaos are not small, private victories. They are acts of service because they loosen the knots in the collective consciousness and make space for healing that extends far beyond your own story. In modern life, this means that even the smallest choice, such as breathing deeply instead of reacting in anger, or trusting that life supports you instead of falling into doubt, becomes a ripple of transformation. You may not see its full impact, but the frequencies you stabilize create permission for others to align, to soften, and to believe again. When one person embodies coherence, the field around them changes, and when enough individuals embody love, the world itself begins to tilt toward healing. You have felt it before, stepping into a room where someone's peace changes the entire atmosphere, and you hold the same power in your daily life. Every act of alignment is a contribution to the unseen climate we all breathe, a spiritual offering that shifts possibility not only for yourself, but for others you may never meet. This is the essence of manifestation. It is not a selfish project of getting what you desire, but a dance with the universe where your vibration becomes a collective doorway. To embody love is to give others hope. To embody abundance is to expand the pathways of courage. To embody ease is to weave trust into the fabric of humanity. Your awakening is a medicine that spreads silently, creating healing where it is most needed. And so, each moment you choose alignment, you are not only receiving from life, but also giving back frequencies that help others step into their own truth, their own power, and their own possibility. And so, the mystery of quantum manifestation reminds us that even when we don't see it, the universe is already responding to the energy we carry. What you seek is not as far away as you think it is quietly unfolding, aligning itself with the frequency of your inner world. If this message spoke to you, don't forget to like this video, share it with someone who needs to hear it, and subscribe to Spiritual Wisdom. Be sure to turn on the notification bell so you never miss our upcoming insights on Carl Jung, spirituality, and the hidden laws that shape your life. 7 signs your spiritual awakening is over. It's time to use your powers. Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life, and you will call it fate. Carl Jung. In today's video on Spiritual Wisdom, we explore what it truly means when your spiritual awakening has completed, and more importantly, how to step into your next chapter with clarity and purpose. If you've been feeling a shift within, like you're no longer just awakening, but being called to act on your inner growth, this message is for you. These 7 signs will help you recognize when it's time to stop seeking and start living your power. What part of your awakening journey are you in right now? Let us know in the comments. Your insight could inspire someone else on their path. Sign 1. You no longer feel separate from the universe. You no longer feel like an outsider, disconnected from the flow of life, or cut off from something greater. That feeling of separation, once so heavy and defining, has quietly melted away. You're not fighting the world anymore. You're part of it. You've stopped resisting change because deep down, you now trust that everything unfolds exactly as it should. This isn't just acceptance, it's alignment. It's what Carl Jung called individuation, the realization that what you were searching for was never outside of you. It was always within, waiting to be remembered. The illusion of separation between you and nature, between you and others, between you and the divine has dissolved. You sense the unity behind all things. A tree is no longer just a tree. A stranger's eyes are no longer empty. A difficult moment is no longer meaningless. Everything is speaking, and now you have the ears to hear it. There's a calmness in you that wasn't there before. You don't need to control the outcome because you feel guided by something deeper than logic, by rhythm, by intuition, by a sacred intelligence moving through all things, including you. Carl Jung believed that wholeness arises when we integrate all the hidden parts of ourselves, not when we deny or escape them. That process has happened to you. You've sat with your pain. You've faced your confusion. You've embraced your light and your shadow. And something incredible has happened in return. You've come home to yourself. That home isn't a place, it's a way of being, a way of seeing. It's the moment you realize that the universe isn't out there. It's here. And it's always been. In everyday life, this shows up in small but powerful ways. You stop rushing. You start listening. You become more present with people, even when they're hurting or triggering. You don't take things so personally anymore because you see the bigger picture. Even in chaos, you hold your center. Even in silence, you feel full. Your identity is no longer built on roles, labels, or outcomes. It's rooted in presence. You've stopped trying to become someone, and you've started being yourself, fully and unapologetically. This shift is not just a spiritual idea, it's a lived transformation. A woman once shared that after years of trying to fix her life, something changed. She stopped forcing answers and started paying attention to the stillness. One afternoon, sitting alone, she felt everything around her, trees, wind, and light suddenly come alive. Not through words, but through being. She realized she wasn't alone, never had been. That moment wasn't dramatic, but it changed everything. That's what it's like when the separation fades. You stop asking for signs and start living as the sign. You've reached the point where your awakening is no longer about seeking. It's about embodying. You carry the spiritual wisdom of someone who has returned from the depths, not with noise, but with knowing. You've stopped needing to be chosen because you know you were. And now, it's time to use what you've become. Are you starting to feel deeply connected to the universe and all that is? If this resonates with you, comment below. I am one with the universe, to affirm your spiritual awakening and inspire others to embrace their divine connection too. Let's grow together. Sign 2. Your intuition guides you without doubt. You no longer need to ask for a sign. You no longer need to overthink your feelings or seek confirmation from 10 different people. Your intuition has become the loudest voice in the room. And for the first time in your life, you trust it without hesitation. You don't question where it comes from or what it means. It speaks, and you follow. This is no longer a guess. It's guidance. This isn't hope. It's clarity. You feel the decision before you can explain it, and you know it's right without needing to justify it. This is spiritual wisdom, taking the wheel, subtle, precise, and powerful. There was a time when you needed validation. You wanted someone to tell you you were on the right path, to give you permission to feel what you were already feeling deep inside. But now, you don't need to ask. You just know. You've stopped asking the universe to speak louder, because now you've quieted the noise within. You've made enough mistakes, followed enough wrong turns, and sat in enough silence to know what your soul sounds like, and now you listen. You no longer chase signs because you are the sign. You've become the confirmation you once sought outside of yourself. That's when the shift becomes clear. Your awakening is no longer something you're working through. It's who you are now. And when decisions come, you don't hesitate. You don't consult 5 opinions. You don't wait for everything to be perfect or fully understood. You act not impulsively, but intuitively. You feel the pull, and you follow it. You walk through doors others are still analyzing. And this isn't recklessness, It's alignment. You don't need logic to back it up anymore. You move with the rhythm of your spirit. And in that rhythm, there's no fear. There's only knowing. Before, you were always learning, watching, searching. You needed spiritual books, podcasts, courses because you were still remembering who you are. But now, you live what you used to study. You walk as what you once admired. You speak from a place of experience, not theory. And that's what spiritual wisdom is, not information, but embodiment. You've stopped talking about the path. Now, you are the path. Your intuition isn't just a feeling anymore. It's a system, a guidance structure that your life runs on. You make decisions without panic. You feel peace in your boundaries. You no longer explain your energy to people who don't understand it. Your life has become a reflection of your inner knowing, and that knowing is crystal clear. You've stopped performing for the world because you've already been approved by something higher. You no longer wait for the green light. You are the green light. Even your timing has changed. You no longer force things to happen. You trust when things pause, when doors close, when silence stretches longer than expected. You recognize the divine rhythm at work, and you don't need to rush it because you're in sync with something deeper. The void no longer scares you, it steadies you. The uncertainty no longer shakes you, it sharpens you. You're not just spiritually curious anymore, you're spiritually calibrated. Now, your yes is rooted in alignment. Your no comes from clarity, not guilt. You don't need long explanations or drawn-out apologies. You're not here to convince anyone, you're here to follow the truth. And that truth speaks through your intuition, clear and constant, like a compass that never wavers. Every moment, every choice, every shift in direction, it's all coming from within. There's no fear in that, only power. And this power doesn't shout, it doesn't need to. It simply is. You carry it in how you move, how you speak, how you choose. This is the sign that your spiritual awakening is over. When you no longer search for alignment, you are alignment. Your intuition has become your lifestyle. Your choices are made in wholeness, not in doubt. And your life, slowly and steadily, becomes a mirror of your soul's deepest truth. That is the gift of spiritual wisdom, and now it lives in you. If you're ready to trust your inner guidance and follow your intuition with clarity and confidence, comment below. I follow my inner voice. Let this be your declaration that you no longer seek outside approval. Your soul already knows the way. Sign 3. Material desires no longer control you. You no longer crave the shiny symbols of success that once held power over you. The chase for wealth, the desire to accumulate more, the longing for titles, praise, and possessions they've lost their grip. What once felt urgent now feels empty. You've looked behind the curtain of materialism and seen that it was never the destination. It was a distraction. What you want now cannot be held in your hands, but must be felt in your soul. Peace, purpose, and deep inner alignment. This is not detachment out of defeat. This is the kind of clarity that only arrives after the storm of longing has passed. You no longer measure your value by your bank account, your home, or your appearance. Instead, you measure it by how quiet your mind is when you're alone, how full your heart is when you give, and how aligned you feel when you speak your truth. Your old self used to hustle for validation, but your awakened self moves with quiet confidence. Your needs are no longer fueled by scarcity, but by sacredness. You no longer grasp, you allow. You no longer chase, you attract. And the shift is so powerful, it's almost invisible, yet your entire life feels lighter because of it. Abundance still flows to you, but the desperation is gone. There's no more begging, forcing, or proving. Now, abundance comes to you like a trusted friend, gently, consistently, and without resistance. You've realized that spiritual awakening doesn't mean rejecting money or success. It means refusing to let them define you. You no longer build your self-worth on things that can be taken away. You've rooted your worth in something eternal, your divine essence, your mission, your presence. You're no longer interested in proving anything to anyone. What once felt like ambition now feels like noise. Your soul has taken the lead. Your desires have been refined. You only move if it's in alignment. You only say yes if your spirit agrees. And that alignment has made you magnetic, not just to people, but to opportunities, blessings, synchronicities. What once required exhausting effort now flows with grace, because your energy is clean, your intentions are clear, your heart is open, and your hands are steady. As Carl Jung said, "Who looks outside dreams. Who looks inside awakens." You've done the inner work. You've healed the need to be seen and replaced it with the power to see clearly. You've traded applause for peace, comparison for compassion, and approval for authenticity. Your life is no longer about getting more, but about becoming more. And that shift, that's not just growth, that's power. If this message resonates with you, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share your thoughts in the comments below. Let's keep evolving together. Sign number 4 is waiting for you. Sign 4. You have embraced solitude and peace. You no longer fear being alone because you've come to realize that solitude is not a punishment, it's a gift. The moment you stopped chasing noise and started cherishing silence was the moment your awakening matured. You began to understand what Carl Jung meant when he said, "Loneliness does not come from having no people around, but from being unable to communicate the things that matter." Now, your soul no longer aches for constant company. It craves peace, stillness, and presence. You have stopped filling the silence with distractions and started letting it speak to you. Spiritual awakening isn't just about realizing universal truths. It's about learning to enjoy your own company in a world that tries to make you forget who you are without others. You no longer measure your worth by how many people call, text, or notice you. You've stopped performing for attention and started protecting your energy like it's sacred. You've learned that not everyone deserves access to you, and that peace is not found in a crowd. It's found in alignment with your higher self. That's why shallow relationships no longer satisfy you. They feel too small, too loud, too disconnected from the depth your soul has awakened to. You begin to crave conversations that stretch your mind, not just pass the time. You're no longer afraid to walk away from people who can't meet you there. This isn't arrogance, it's evolution. It's the quiet confidence that comes from knowing yourself so deeply that you no longer negotiate your peace for temporary company. The void that once made you feel lonely now feels full because you filled it with self-respect, awareness, and truth. You've discovered the paradox that in silence, you are not alone. You are most connected. You start to notice how the world praises extroversion, but forgets that all transformation happens in the quiet. You don't need constant validation or or stimulation anymore. You choose nights with yourself over draining events. You journal instead of overshare. You take walks to reconnect with your center rather than scroll endlessly for meaning. You find that when your energy is aligned, solitude becomes your sanctuary. It's not isolation, it's inner integration. Carl Jung believed that the process of individuation, of becoming whole, required retreating from the collective, confronting your own shadow, and learning to live from the center of your being. And that is exactly what you're doing. You are not waiting for someone else to complete you. You're not chasing after shallow conversations just to feel seen. You have become the one who sees yourself fully, and that's power. You no longer feel guilty for choosing peace. You protect your space, your time, and your heart because you understand that not everyone is meant to walk with you in this chapter. This isn't about being alone, it's about being in alignment. It's not about isolation. It's about insulation from noise that distorts your truth. Silence no longer signals emptiness. It signals readiness, depth, power. This is where the real transformation happens, not in the chaos, but in the calm. And now, you finally understand that. Do you feel this deep shift within you? If you've embraced solitude and found peace in your own presence, declare it boldly in the comments. I protect my peace and walk in divine stillness. Sign 5. You naturally attract people who need your light. You no longer need to announce your presence or explain your journey. People feel it. They are drawn to you, not because of your words, but because of your steady, grounded, and healing energy. Even without trying, you've become a lighthouse in the storm for those still lost in confusion. Strangers start conversations. Friends open up. Someone glances at you and senses peace. This is not an accident. This is what happens when your spiritual awakening has moved from a personal transformation to a collective impact. Your light is no longer for you alone. It's for others who are ready to rise. Carl Jung taught that until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate. Now that you've done the inner work, facing the shadows, healing the wounds, dissolving illusions, you've shifted your frequency. People can feel that. Without knowing why, they sense that you're safe. They see something in your presence that reminds them of who they could be. And in a world where most are still asleep, your awakened state becomes a magnet for those hungry for clarity, guidance, and truth. You don't need to offer advice. Sometimes your stillness is enough. But just as light attracts, it also reveals. And not everyone is ready for what your energy exposes. You may notice that some people suddenly distance themselves. They might become defensive, critical, even hostile. This is not a reflection of you. It's a reflection of their own unhealed parts. Carl Jung called this the shadow, the unconscious aspects of ourselves we deny or suppress. When your light meets someone else's shadow, it either inspires or threatens. And that reaction has nothing to do with your worth. This is where spiritual wisdom becomes essential. Discernment is no longer optional. It's a requirement. You must learn to tell the difference between those who are genuinely seeking light and those who simply want to feed off it. Being open-hearted does not mean being available to everyone. Your energy is sacred. Protect it. Just because someone is drawn to you doesn't mean they're ready to grow with you. Give your presence, but not your peace. Hold space, but don't lose yourself in it. A young woman once shared how she used to wonder why people always poured their souls out to her, even strangers on the train. She wasn't a healer by profession, but her spirit had matured through years of quiet endurance. One day, someone told her, "I don't know why, but I feel lighter just talking to you." That's when she realized she had become medicine just by being real. Not perfect, not loud, just a present. That's what spiritual awakening does. It turns pain into power, silence into depth, and survival into healing for others. You didn't choose this role by ego. It was chosen through your journey. You don't have to force your light. It flows naturally because you've embodied it. And now, that light is guiding others home, not through preaching, but through being. If this message speaks to your soul, say it out loud. I am a vessel of light, and those who need healing are drawn to me. I honor this calling with wisdom and grace. Sign 6. You can see through deception and illusions. You no longer fall for the lies. That's the sign. The veil has lifted, and you see through the manipulation that once controlled you. The fear-based headlines, the glamorized illusions, the hollow promises of happiness sold by society no longer seduce you. You've awakened, and with that awakening comes a piercing clarity. It's not just that you recognize deception. You feel it, sense it, and walk away from it with grace. Your spiritual awakening has trained your perception. Now, you see the intention behind the words, the energy behind the actions, and the illusion behind the mask. You no longer believe something simply because it's on the news or because someone in power says it. Your discernment is alive, sharp, grounded, and uncompromising. You understand how deeply conditioned people are to accept fear as truth and control as safety. But you've stepped outside of that. You've stopped outsourcing your thinking. You question the narrative not out of rebellion, but because your soul refuses to live in illusion. And that discernment, that quiet, grounded knowing, has made you immune to fear. You used to get caught in the emotional chaos of others. Now, you observe it without absorbing it. You used to believe the world's definition of success, safety, and love. You define those things for yourself. You can feel when something is off, even if everyone else is clapping for it. You can see through the polished appearance and straight into the energy. You've stopped being impressed by the surface and started being guided by substance. And when people try to manipulate you, you feel it in your gut. You don't need evidence. Your body tells you. Your soul speaks louder than their performance. Carl Jung once said, "Your vision will become clear only when you can look into your own heart." And that's exactly what happened. You went inward, and the world became visible. You're no longer a puppet of culture, media, or fear. You walk in truth, and that truth keeps you steady in a world of shifting illusions. This clarity can feel isolating at times. You see things others don't. You sense energies they ignore. But this is not a burden, it's your power. You're not meant to convince others. You're meant to embody the truth so deeply that your presence itself becomes a disruption to deception. When others are triggered by your calm or your silence, it's because you remind them of a truth they've forgotten. You're not here to argue, to prove, or to explain. You're here to live aligned. That's what makes you untouchable. That's what keeps you free. You don't need to escape the world, you just no longer belong to the illusion of it. And when the world tries to pull you back into its fog, You return to your center. You return to your clarity. You return to your soul. Because once your spiritual awakening strips away illusion, there's no going back, and you wouldn't want to. If this message resonates with your spirit, subscribe and stay connected to a community that seeks truth beyond illusion. Here, we awaken, discern, and rise together in clarity. Remember, you are grounded in divine truth. No fear, no deception can shake you now. Sign 7. You feel a strong call to step into your mission. You no longer feel satisfied with what once excited you. The noise, the distractions, the things that used to fill your time now feel empty, like echoes from a version of yourself that no longer exists. This isn't apathy. This is clarity, a sacred clarity that arises after a long season of inner work, solitude, and shedding illusions. Carl Jung once said, "Who looks outside, dreams. Who looks inside, awakens." And you, after all the seeking, have awakened. But now, something deeper is stirring. It's not a whisper anymore. It's fierce, urgent, undeniable. You feel it in your bones, in your breath, in your spirit. You are being called. The call isn't vague. You are being pulled to teach, to heal, to lead, to build. Not because it's glamorous or profitable, but because it feels unbearable to do anything else. You are no longer able to numb this knowing. There's a shift from waiting for the sign to realizing you are the sign. Everything you've lived through, the grief, the chaos, the nights you thought you wouldn't survive, wasn't wasted. It was preparation. You didn't lose time. You were being forged. And now, that forging is complete. Now, you carry wisdom in your wounds and power in your presence. The old identity is collapsing because the new one is ready to rise. The world will still tempt you with comfort and conformity, but you've outgrown it. You've tasted something real, and nothing else will do. Carl Jung taught that healing doesn't mean becoming perfect, but becoming whole. You now understand your shadows, your patterns, your light. You are no longer fragmented. You are integrated. And that integration demands expression. This isn't the time to shrink. It's the time to step forward not with certainty, but with conviction. Think of the countless souls out there praying for a guide, a word, a sign of hope. What if that sign is you? What if your story, your voice, your truth is exactly what someone else needs to remember who they are? What if your pain, now alchemized into wisdom, is the bridge to someone else's freedom? The calling you feel isn't ego. It's a service. It's a sacred responsibility. And no, you don't need to have it all figured out. You just need to begin. Everything in your life has led to this moment. You've been initiated by experience, not theory. The universe doesn't wait for perfect people. It moves through willing vessels. Your spiritual awakening was never meant to be a destination. It was a doorway. And now that you've walked through it, the mission begins. Not someday, not when you're more ready. Now. If this message has stirred something deep within you, declare it boldly in the comments. I accept my divine mission. I am ready to serve with purpose and power. Your calling is no accident. It's time to rise. Subscribe and join others who are awakening to their true path. Thank you for joining us on this powerful journey. If something within you stirred while watching this video, trust that it wasn't random. Your awakening wasn't the end. It was the beginning of your true embodiment. Now is the time to live your wisdom, walk in your power, and become the mirror of the transformation you've already undergone. If this message resonated with you, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to Spiritual Wisdom. Tap the notification bell so you never miss an upload that speaks directly to your soul. Until next time, stay aware, stay empowered, and keep using your light.